Calling all SCP Foundation staff. Calling all SCP Foundation staff. This is researcher Theron Sherman broadcasting from Site-42. We are having technical issues, so if you can see us in the chat, we would greatly appreciate some sort of confirmation. We know there's a lag, so we will be waiting. We want to make sure you can actually hear/see our stream. We are anomalously broadcasting from Site-42 tonight. We are going to be discussing the Heritage Collection. We are going to be hanging out. Make sure you like and share the stream, especially because YouTube is glitching on us. We don't know why we can't schedule our stream, and you are surprised about this. So make sure to like and share. Tell people we're here. Make sure you use your encrypted YouTube account, Steve. And we are going live in 3. We are going live in 2. We are going live in 1. Hey there, Foundation staff. This is Sherman, but you can call me Sherm. Welcome to another anomalous broadcast from Site-42. For anybody unfamiliar with our show, the rundown goes like this. Number 1, I read you an SCP document. B, I open up the floor to the community to discuss what we've read. We are often visited by SCP authors, staff, and fans, and if we're lucky, the author of the article themselves shows up to share some insight. Remember that if you'd like to join the conversation yourself, I will be monitoring the YouTube chat in between our sections of the reading and answering questions, as will my guests, plural. Also, remember that if you enjoy the show, leave a like and a comment to let us know, subscribe and hit the bell, and if you really want to help us out, become a patron at patreon.com/site42. Tonight we're doing something a little different. For the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be reading and discussing the Heritage Collection. The Heritage Collection is a controversial topic on the wiki. To my understanding, it was meant to help archive articles that were important to our fandom's history, but may not measure up to the writing standard of today's articles. There was a lot of controversy about which articles should or shouldn't be on it, as well as if it should even exist in the first place. It is currently a discontinued project due to this. But there are still a lot of people in the offsite community who point new members to the Heritage Collection to see what the fandom as a whole is all about. This often proves problematic, as new people expect that kind of work from everything else on the site, and they get real lost when the wiki is not like that at all. Our goal over the next couple weeks is to read these articles and discuss them with the Site-42 community, both new fans of SCP as well as our SCP author friends, and have some good discussion over the pros and cons of the different articles on the list, and for tonight at least, the list itself. So we are going to be doing SCP-173 and 055, but first, let me introduce my panel of guests from the Site-42 Discord. Hello, video and audio. Welcome, team.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Well, that worked better than last time.
This is our first time doing group Discord video, so thank you, Discord, not sponsored, for doing this setup. And I have a quick question for the team. In my view window, I see upper left window, Etoile, followed by Ethan, followed by Traffy. Is that the same order you guys have?
Yep.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Then let's organize these welcomes in left to right, top to bottom. So starting with Etoile.
Okay. You guys know me by now. I've been on here way too many times. I'm Etoile, Etoisle, spelled in the SCP Wiki. I'm an author. I joined in like April and wrote like 6 things, and I'm a pretty recent member of the community, and I guess is what you said earlier. So, hi.
Ethan, you're up.
I'm Ethan. I'm kind of new to the SCP business. I have been starting to write a little bit. I've been doing my best, but I'm just here to give general feedback and to help out as much as I can.
Sweet. Traffy, you're up.
I'm Traffy, and I'm a really big fan of 2295. And I'm also pretty new to the community. And I'm currently working on my first work at the moment. And that's about all you need to know about me. Don't mind the head.
Secret face reveal at 10,000 subs. I get it. I've been there. All right, in the bottom row, we have Andy. Can we hear you now?
I think so. I forgot I had set up a push to talk.
You're good. We hear you. Welcome. And, oh, okay, Traffy went off video. That's why they disappeared. Cool. So, Andy, who are you? What do you do here? Are you a fan? Are you a writer? What is your position in the SCP fandom?
As of right now, I'm just a fan. I haven't exactly joined the wiki yet, and I'm still fairly new to this. I joined like a month ago.
The offsite community is an important part of the fandom. The authorship is only like upwards of what? Maybe we have 1,000? Maybe, is it 1,000 or 10,000 authors?
It's a little over 1,000. I want to say it's like in the ballpark of 1,500.
And yet, when you look at channels like us on TikTok with 275,000 fans, when you look at Volgin and SCP Illustrated with over 500,000 people, the authorship is actually a very small part of the fandom.
Yeah.
And when you talk about death of the author, it's almost literal with we are the fandom, we are the works, but how it gets absorbed by the rest of the community is crazy. SCP Redacted, I see you in the Discord. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, Christ, I was just here to listen. Sorry.
No problem. You might be better off on, if you want to listen, yes, that's cool. You're good, man. You're good. I will not bother you then.
Sorry, no, alright. I'll leave it be and I'll just watch the YouTube. Sorry about that.
Very good.
It's all good. This is the first time we've done video in the Discord server. Some of you out there watching the live are like, Site42 has a Discord server? Yeah, it's a really good kept secret. So if you want to join, be nice. It's in the description.
Okay, listen.
Oh, Void is here.
Bye.
And if you see my icon in the video chat, that is just because I have to have my icon in the video chat, but my camera is off because you're watching me on YouTube. You don't need to see what I'm seeing. So does our first round of conversation tonight is a discussion on the Heritage Collection itself. If you go to the link in the description that leads to the Heritage Collection, you will notice over 300 comments on that page. And that is because from its beginning, people were like, this doesn't need to exist in the first place. And some people wanted it to exist.
Comments, and it's rated at -7.
It was at -6 when I looked at it earlier. Someone has downvoted since then. So, let's discuss the Heritage Collection as a whole. Does anyone here have a case for or against it? I will open the floor to discussion.
I could talk about. I don't feel super strongly about it either way. I get why it exists. I think the best case that I can give for it is that people who come onto the wiki, they have no idea where to start. A lot of people will try to read all of them in order, which is a really bad idea. Like I don't recommend doing that to anyone. Like if I'm trying to get someone an SCP and they're like, oh, I'm trying to read all of them, like don't do that, do not do that. You're like, you are going to die. I think it works as these are the popular ones that everybody talks about, and so that's how you can figure out what everybody else is talking about, and that's a point for it. And there are very few points. There are very few other positive points for it. I think it could be done a lot better, and I think the user curated lists do its job better than it does.
That is an important point to bring up, that since the Heritage Collection has been archived ARC, which means that it is not really it's never going to be updated. It's just there because it's there. We've since moved on to a system of what are called user-curated lists, and I do a short version of that every time someone in a comment says, what are your favorite SCPs? I say, 3043 3999 008-J. Go. But apparently the user-curated lists, which I haven't looked at yet, are a more author-centric version? Is that what it is?
It was all collected by, I want to say, one person, and they were all put up at the same time. No, all right. 087 was 087 and 173 were earlier, and then like 7 others were put in, and then it was never touched again. So, and this is all in 2013, 7 years ago.
Oh wow, that is 7 years ago, Lordy.
Oh yeah, like that fucks me up too. I don't like that. Let's go. I have to wonder if it is subject to normal deletion rules, and if it gets voted to -10, do they have to delete it?
I am gonna go with 90% sure that because it's archived, it might stay that way.
Right. Yeah.
It would be funny if it got that low.
It would be hilarious, though. It's probably not going to happen, but it would be really fun.
Random tangent, community tangent, before we move on to the actual meat of the tonight. What is that page that is the most downvoted page? Because isn't there one that's like permanently like in the negative hundreds or something as a joke?
It's Crockett's author page. I
think you're right. I think it's Crockett's author page.
I don't know about the most downvoted normal one, because those, go away pretty fast, probably. I bet Gay Bomb is rated really, really low.
What? Gay
I mean, you don't know about Gay Bomb? Oh my god.
Oh no.
I will take
really,
this.
Really, it's
all right,
bad.
wait, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I caught a good text that I wanted to
Okay.
bring up, but I can do that after you explain what the hell you're talking about.
I can't believe you don't know about the Gay Bomb. All right. I think it's 212 arc. And it is... It's not 212 arc. Okay, you might need to give me a minute. Maybe it's 215. 230? I'll figure it out. The number doesn't matter.
252 arc.
25252. You're right. You are right. Thank you. Yes, 252 arc. It's rated at -25 right now. It is exactly what it sounds like. It is a bomb that turns you gay. That's it.
Can we do a dramatic reading of this?
That would be fucking hilarious. It's really bad though. It has like everything. It's not very good. It's like kind of offensive in its intrigue, and it has a Ketter duty in the addendum and like 4 Law Foundation editions. It is not good at all, and I love it. It's so fucking bad. It's so bad. It's so funny. Also, like Kondraki wrote it, which is also really funny to me.
Well, for the
That is
offsite
really
community's
funny.
edification, there's also one of my most popular TikTok videos is me reacting to an offsite fan just with increasing laughter as they describe SCP-69420, a skin cell from Cthulhu's left ball that takes the form of a Hot Wheel of a 2006 white Honda Civic. And if you touch it, you turn blue, gay, and then die.
I love that one so much.
And that's the kind of thing that we're like, that's the offsite equivalent of the gay bomb, I believe.
Oh my god. That one's hilarious. And also notable about the Gay Bomb, there is no real reason for it to be archived. Normally things are archived because they feature another tale or some lore relies on them. Gay Bomb is archived just because they thought it would be funny. And for no other reason. Like some member of senior staff just liked it. And it's just still here.
Dr. Whitney
really
adding to the conversation in the no mic. Heritage is a mixed bag. I feel like some needs to be changed for the subject matter they address, while some should remain on because they bring in new authors through the large amount of media. That's interesting that there is like the memeable SCPs. 049. I mean, 049 and 096 aren't even on it. Now that I think about it.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh god, I just remember 231 is on it. Oh my god.
But 231 is on it. Yes, a quick rundown of the whole
Really
list
don't
of the
like that.
Heritage collection that we're going to be going through over the next couple weeks, barring the Halloween live stream 24 hours. Because we're going to do the 24-hour live stream on Halloween, and then I am not doing a Sunday show after that. You can go straight to hell
No
while
way.
I'm sleeping.
Makes sense.
So the full Heritage collection in order of number value is SCP-055, which we'll be covering tonight, 076, Able, 087, the stairwell. 093, the Red Sea object. 173, the sculpture, our first one of the evening tonight. 231, special personnel requirements. Can't wait till we get to that one. 239, the witch child. 343, God, in quotation marks. SCP-500, the panacea. SCP-682, the hard-to-destroy reptile. SCP-701, the Hanged King's tragedy. I like that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
SCP-882, a machine. I don't remember that one. SCP-914, the clockworks. And this is the first time I've discovered that the final one is SCP-963, immortality. I did not know Bright was in the freaking Heritage Collection.
Well, I was gonna say 882 is Gears' thing, so it makes sense for them to each kind of have representation on that.
So does anybody have any final words on the relevance, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Heritage Collection before we move into our first article for the night?
I actually do, but I'm not actually that new of a fan. I've come from a long time back when we were in the 3000s or 2000s. And honestly, back then, I'm pretty sure the Heritage Collection actually stood a chance and actually did its part. It actually showed us which files were popular, what it should look like, and how people acted, and what the site actually was meant to be.
In 2013.
Yeah, 2013.
I was slightly active in 2013, but I was also 12 years old, so don't be like me. Don't join underage kids. I feel like there was some movement in site culture between 2008, when most of these were written, and 2013 when they were inaugurated. But I wonder how much there was. I wonder how much is us looking back at this in 2012, 2020, and being like, this is all garbage. I wonder how well regarded it was back then, because I honestly don't remember.
Well, it's really funny because if you look through the comments of some of them, as I did when I was researching to start today, a lot of these have arguments about why are they still on the site from 2010 or 12, before this was even a thing. Like if you look at 343 specifically, I was checking that one out because a lot of people on TikTok ask, "Oh yeah, Sherman, what if God was an SCP? How do you contain it?" And I usually just comment back, "Oh, that's 343. He's pretty chill." But eventually I am going to do a video on 343 explaining it. And when was it written? It was written in 2008, like a lot of the early ones, or 2009. 2008. And then, or it was moved to the wiki from the old wiki in 2008.
Shit, wow.
And even in 2009, a lot of the commentary is, this doesn't need to be on the site. Why is 343 here?
It's not. I think it's one of those ones that Offsite likes a lot more.
It's funny because I don't hear complaints about 343 today, and I think it's because it's gotten far enough in history that it's just kind of like, it is what it is. It's there. It's not great, but it does fill its hole, so we don't need something else like it.
Right. And it doesn't get obsessed over like some of the other ones do. It's not as popular. It's just kind of a thing that's there.
Any other discussion about the Heritage Collection before we move on to 173?
I just wanted to say something kind of stupid. So when I was looking at when a couple of them were inaugurated, like a couple of them seem to be inaugurated close to my birthday.
Duh, happy close to your birthday inauguration, I guess.
My birthday isn't for like another 2 months.
You're one of them Christmas birthdays that make people sad because they only get one present instead of two.
I'm too spoiled.
All right, gang. Let's take this in, though. We're going to take it to SCP-173. If you're watching on YouTube, you can move to your... you can open your second tab for read-along. This is a short one, so I'm just going to knock this out, have our guests listen, and then we will start our 173 discussion. So, from the beginning, the very beginning of the SCP fandom. Item number SCP-173. Object class Euclid. Special containment procedures. Item SCP-173 is to be kept in a locked container at all times. When personnel must enter SCP-173's container, no fewer than 3 may enter at any time, and the door is to be relocked behind them. At all times, 2 persons must maintain direct eye contact with SCP-173 until all personnel have vacated and relocked the container. Description: Moved to Site-19, 1993. Origin is as of yet unknown. It is constructed from concrete and rebar, with traces of Krylon brand spray paint. SCP-173 is animate and extremely hostile. The object cannot move while within a direct line of sight. Line of sight must not be broken at any time with SCP-173. Personnel assigned to enter container are instructed to alert one another before blinking. Object is reported to attack by snapping the neck at the base of the skull, or by strangulation. In the event of an attack, personnel are to observe Class 4 hazardous object containment procedures. Personnel report sounds of scraping stone originating from inside the container when no one is present inside. This is considered normal, and any change in this behavior should be reported to the acting HMCL supervisor on duty. The reddish-brown substance on the floor is a combination of feces and blood. Origin of these materials is unknown. The enclosure must be cleaned on a bi-weekly basis. And now for your possible reading pleasure. Here is the Twal with a dramatic reading of the copyright, because I didn't put that on here.
Creator information. The image used in the SCP-173 article is the art piece Untitled 2004 by Izumi Kato. The photograph was taken by Keisuke Yamamoto. All are reserved by the artist. A note of caution! SCP-173 is a secondary use of the image of the art piece Untitled 2004, which was created by Izumi Kato. The concept of 173 does not have any relationship with the artist's original concept of Untitled 2004. The sculpture, its likeness, and the photograph have not been released under any Creative Commons license. Only this article is released under Creative Commons. This sculpture and its likeness may not be used for commercial purposes under any circumstances. Izumi Kato has graciously chosen to allow the use of the image of Untitled 2004 by the SCP Foundation and its fanbase for non-commercial purposes only. Do not contact or negotiate Izumi Kato about anything related to SCP-173. Do not negotiate commercial license of SCP-173 images at all. Do not ask the SCP Wiki to handle Untitled 2004 commercial license negotiations with Izumi Kato. Untitled 2004 images are not available commercially for use in connection with SCP-173. There is no exception.
That was everything I needed it to be and more. I am currently downloading an image of what just happened to us all on behalf of a Twal. If only my internet was faster and I could show you the joyous thing that's in my mind. Add this image to this slideshow so that you can hear and see what Sherman imagined just happened. This is at the top of the list. Nope. Go to the top. Go to the top. Do it. I'm stalling because I'm going slow. I'm sorry. Here we go. This is what this was. A Twal is woman yelling at cat.
I have to wait for the lag. Oh, there it is. Okay.
30-second lag for
thanks
YouTube.
For sacrificing yourself.
If you even think about looking at 173 wrong, we will sue your ass off.
That is... The reason I had Etwal do that is because it is very important to the offsite fandom. A lot of people don't know that you can be sued for using an image of the correct SCP-173 in your work. 99% of the wiki is Creative Commons, and of all the things that are still stolen, that is the one that's going to be last to go, I bet.
Yeah, I think they're working on a replacement now.
There's like 2 other things that are still like super stolen and the legal team is working on.
Mm-hmm. 682 is one of the most recent replacements.
So yes, please don't steal art. We were we were a 4chan community, and it didn't really matter when we started this. We're slowly transitioning to a better, more legal state of mind.
Yes.
So, does anybody have thoughts they wish to share on the SCP-173 article?
I could say a lot about it, but I've been talking a lot, so I'll let, if anyone else has thoughts, I'll save them.
It reminds me of Weeping Angels from Doctor Who.
There's actually a very large argument about that, because
whether or not he stole it.
whether or not that concept was stolen from Doctor Who. And I know that Dr. Cimmerian, is it Cimmerian or Cimmerian, or how do you say his name?
Pretty sure it's Sumerian.
I always thought it was Sumerian, like the language. And so I could never find him in Google searches. But Dr. Cimmerian firmly believes that the 173 concept was in fact stolen from Doctor Who, citing that the episode came out, the episode factually came out about the same time that this SCP was created. There's argument as to whether the post was during pre-production when the concept would have gotten out, or some wiggle room where maybe Moto 42 didn't use the same concept that they had seen. But I think Cimmerian's case that it is in fact inspired by Doctor Who is probably correct. Although statues that move when you're not looking at them is a fairly common myth.
Right. I think it's a generic
just
enough
probably
concept that it doesn't really
coincidental.
matter. Yeah.
So when I look at first of all, if you ever want to have a trip, go to Roge's History of the World essays.
Oh, those are so fun.
And in the very beginning of the first one, there is a screen cap of the original 173 post on 4chan. And the amount of spelling errors and the second mention of it is SPC. We were the shark punching center first.
How many sharks did you punch? What kind of sharks did you?
173 of them.
173 so far. And so you can just see that, yes, this was obviously a badly written creepypasta on 4chan. And somehow this kick-started as, hello, new guest. Hello, new guest, SCP-049. So, yes, the 4chan post has been cleaned up for what we have on the wiki. And even then, if I were reading this today, I would shred it. Because I'm already so annoyed reading it on teleprompter. Etwal, that made you want to say something?
Yes, I do have a lot to say about 173. It sucks as an SCPR. It's a shitty SCP. It sucks. It's great horror just by itself if we take it in a vacuum, because you have to consider that none of the framework of the universe existed when he wrote this. He was making this all up. So you have, and there's just a lot of construction in the words themselves that kind of imply things that make us think, in the same thread, people were immediately trying to make more SCPs and trying to expand the universe. And he built a very, very good concept in very few words.
Honestly, I think the most important thing in this article, the number one thing I would say, inspired everything, and it's weird, is I think that this is item number SCP-173.
Yes.
Because you have already stated, okay, number one, we are classifying these things. Number two, there's at least 173 of them.
Right.
And that, more than the story itself, gets to the imagination behind the SCP Foundation.
That is the story. That's the world building. That's the intent behind it. And there's other little details sprinkled in, like the Class 4 containment procedures and the fact that they have 19 sites and the fact that they've existed since 1993 at least. Just little bits of world building. And they don't come out right and say, hey, this is a giant shadowy paragovernmental organization, but it's very well implied. in very few words. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic horror. I really do. It's
there's a lot on.
SCP, but...
There's a lot here, assuming that the reader knows it, and therefore the reader is left in the dark because we don't know what Class 4 hazardous object containment procedures are.
Right.
I don't even know what an HCML supervisor is.
Right. I think that's also pretty intriguing, is that it does a very good job of implying a universe that already exists, that we do not exist in, that we are not privy to. I think it's great, honestly.
Things like, if you look at the original with the typos, stuff like that, even the version we have that's cleaned up slightly, Move to Site 19, 1993 has always enraged me as a voiceover artist. Because you want me to read this, and that is just... You didn't even put a comma in there, friend. Move to Site 19, 1993. In 1993, comma 19... Help a brother out. This is personal. I'm just being bitchy.
I guess it works for, like, terse... what's the word I'm looking for? Terse.
It works as a government document when we're not here to be friendly.
Right. Right.
People in the YouTube chat are asking, hey, can we join the Discord call? And so I'm going to lay this out because we're experimenting with this concept for the Halloween stream. That way I can have guests in and out all day as I am there for 24 hours. God help me again. And so if you want to join the stream, I just ask that you contribute to the conversation. If you want to watch the show, hang out in the YouTube, that's great. If you come to the Discord, I want that to be people who want to contribute to conversation, only because the more people we have, the smaller the videos get, and therefore we lose who's talking. That answers that question. And then
I have one comment to make, and I'm so glad I bought this shirt today when I did, because this is gonna be very funny.
I'm ready. You've ramped it up. You built the suspense. Now's your moment. You've got to turn on the video or we can't see the shirt. We don't get the joke yet.
Wait.
We can't see.
Oh,
I believe in you. You can do this. Oh, that was a psych out. You tricked me.
You for a second.
You lied to me.
Sorry. I'm trying.
That's okay. I'm just ranting to fill the time. What is it? Scroll down. Lift the shirt. Lift the shirt higher. Lift the shirt higher. I don't see what it is.
You son of a bitch!
Damn it.
I don't know what's happening. What are you talking about? Why does Etwal know?
I'm trying to get...
It's
you know
Peanuts.
what?
The cartoon Peanuts.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about this.
I think you lost this video again.
Okay, but Etwal says it was like... It had SCP-173, the peanut.
No, it was the cartoon Peanuts. Like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I am it doesn't even look that much like Peanuts. It does.
It's the nickname Peanuts.
It doesn't look like a peanut. It doesn't.
For a hot minute, I thought we were going to have like a Peanuts parody of SCP-173 along with a couple other creatures. Which honestly, if you're an artist and don't do 173 because it's copyrighted and you'll get in trouble. And honestly, again, how far do artist depictions of 173 get in trouble? Licensing team needs to help me out with that because...
I mean, I own a t-shirt with it on it that I bought with money, so I don't think they're super militant about it.
There's a certain amount of fair use and fan art and getting in trouble, and I don't know what the line is, so I just don't mess with it.
Yeah. Also, 371J is pretty funny. I just remembered that exists because you made the peanut joke. It is an actual peanut that makes people who aren't familiar with it lose their minds, and people who are familiar with it are like, this is the most boring thing I've ever seen in my fucking life.
That's amazing. That's an SCP?
It's a J.
Still, it's a good J. I did not know about it, and that's funny.
It's a really great J.
Also, in the YouTube chat, I'm just going to shout out not Quinlinny with, I see you gesturing, Sherman, and I relate to it. I think we all relate to that in this moment.
I think they're talking about SCP-049 here, who joined the call.
Oh, okay. Not me, Doc Sherman. Not Doc Sherman, 049 Sherman. Okay. So
who let 049 out?
it was me. You're in my article. I'm Dr. Sherman. You're 049. You have to be here. It's in your contract.
Is he getting paid?
You guys are getting paid?
Wait, you guys are getting paid? Oh.
All right, so do we have any other good notes about SCP-173? Its inspiration, people off-site, people on-site. Do we have any more conversation before we move on to SCP-055?
Well, I would like to ask, because this is something I've talked about with other authors on the site a little while.
Hold on one second. I'm trying to find you, and the reason I'm trying to find you is because your mic is very quiet.
Yeah, your mic is really quiet.
Oh, that's just my voice. I'm now like really close to the mic. Is that better?
That is better. Also, I'm going to adjust you. Void, that's you, right?
That is me.
All right, I'm going to move you up to 130. Why don't you give it another try?
Alrighty, how's this?
I'm going to move you up to 150. Let me give you another try. Go for it.
Alright, how's this?
I can hear you now. It sounds a lot better to me.
Oh, awesome. Alright. So, something that I've talked about a lot with other authors on the site is like the idea of, do we all know what 0166 is by Uranium Empire? Do we all know what that is?
I know, but I feel like most people don't.
Yeah, give us a short summary just in case.
Yeah, so short summary. So it was like a kind of fake rewrite of SCP-166, where it was kind of like improving on the original and kind of making a commentary of the original in a way. And I was just wondering, like, if you could do something like that for 173, like, how would you move upon and like make commentary out of the original article?
Well,
this is for like everyone, but
there's postscript through a glass darkly, isn't there? I don't remember what number that is. Let me look it up.
I'm not familiar with that off the top of my head. I feel like,
although
I feel like I've done it as an SCP reading, haven't I?
You have. It's 3693. It's I want to say not thinly veiled, but heavily implied origin story for 173, kinda. So I guess it's reimagining, rewrite. I don't know.
Yeah, it's something where like I could tell there was a link, but I couldn't tell exactly what the link was.
Wait, that's just what wait. That's just what DOAs are usually. That's just what department. Okay, I'm using the acronym Department of Abnormalities. I think most people are somewhat familiar with that. And I remember, if I remember right, the original the Panopticon is also a 173 retread, rewrite, revisitation thing.
Right. Yes, that's the one that comes to mind first when I think about 173 being done again, is the Panopticon.
Oh, these are pretty good ones. I forgot about
them. Are you raising your hand?
Yes, 049. Would you like to add in?
You just talk.
I just wanted to say I didn't kill Steve.
Well, I did accuse you of killing Steve, so my apologies. I guess I was wrong. For info on that, you should go to the Site42 TikTok, because that's where that reference comes from.
Better watch out next time we play poker.
All right, so what I think Void was adding on to was it Void that was adding on to? I can't tell because I only see little green outlines sometimes.
Oh, I was just saying that I totally forgot about those ones, and those are really good.
I kind of wanted to rewrite 173, like literally just keeping all the details the same, just updating it writing wise. I wanted to see if someone could do that and if it would work. And I know it probably wouldn't, but it would just be like an interesting experiment.
I think that would work, honestly, because there's
there
a lot
an article
of
that they made 173 a Ketter?
Oh, there's which one is that? I know the till you mean. Shit. I know the exact till you mean before they like start replicating and they
revised document.
Yeah, that's the one. That's a good one. as well. I mean, it makes sense that since it's the first one and the oldest one, people have been trying to put spins on it for a while.
You see a series of documents on the site that's SCP-173 2008, SCP-173 2020, SCP-173 2030. And it's the same retread, but it's just in the style of what the articles are that decade.
Yeah.
I feel that it's kind of nice to have replicating 173s because, I mean, kind of like 173 has a family.
Yeah, but
they're much more
gets even
dangerous.
Smarter. 173 has a hive mind.
Yeah, I remember reading Revised Document for the first time and going, oh, shit. Yeah, that's bad. Honestly, it feels a lot like SCP-5000 in a smaller scale.
Oh, yeah.
Like the way it's just kind of like amplified adrenaline, oh shit, we're fucked.
Right. That it's packed into a tighter space.
Indeed. Neat.
I haven't read that one in a while.
All right, well, why don't we move on to SCP-055, the second and final piece of our Heritage Collection tour for the evening.
All right.
Let me skip down in my teleprompter. I'll give us a quick read over, and then we will discuss.
I have
Item
a quick
number.
Question.
Oh, question?
What is it?
Well, after I read it, we can ask ourselves that question for the next 3 hours. I don't think we'll find out.
Nice try, officer.
Item number, SCP-055. Object class, Ketter. Special containment procedures. Object is kept within a 5x5 by 2.5 meter square room constructed of cement 50 centimeters thickness, with a Faraday cage surrounding the cement walls. Access is via a heavy containment door measuring 2 by 2.5 meters, constructed on bearings to ensure door closes and locks automatically, unless held open deliberately. Security guards are not to be posted outside SCP-055's room. It is further advised that all personnel maintaining or studying other SCP objects in the vicinity try to maintain a distance of at least 50 meters from the geometric center of the room, as long as this is reasonably practical. Description: SCP-055 is a, quote, self-keeping secret, end quote, or, quote again, anti-meme, end quote. Information about SCP-055's physical appearance, as well as its nature, behavior, and origins is self-classifying. To clarify, how Site-19 originally acquired SCP-055 is unknown. When SCP-055 was obtained, and by whom, is unknown. SCP-055's physical appearance is unknown. It is not indescribable or invisible. Individuals are perfectly capable of entering SCP-055's container and observing it, taking mental or written notes, making sketches, taking photographs, and even making audio-video recordings. An extensive log of such observations is on file. However, information about SCP-055's physical appearance leaks out of a human mind soon after such an observation. Individuals tasked with describing SCP-055 afterwards find their minds wandering and lose interest in the task. Individuals tasked with sketching a copy of a photograph of SCP-055 are unable to remember what the photograph looks like, as are researchers overseeing these tests. Security personnel who have observed SCP-055 via closed-circuit television cameras emerge after a full shift, exhausted and effectively amnesiac about events of the previous hours. Who authorized the construction of SCP-055's containment room? Why it was constructed in this way? Or what the purpose of the described containment procedures may be, are all unknown. Despite SCP-055's container being easily accessible, all personnel at Site-19 all personnel at Site-19 claim no knowledge of SCP-055's existence when challenged. All of these facts are periodically rediscovered, usually by chance readers of this file, causing a great deal of alarm. This state of concern lasts minutes at most, before the matter is simply forgotten about. A great deal of scientific data has been recorded from SCP-055, but cannot be studied. At least one attempt has been made to destroy SCP-055, or possibly move it from containment at Site-19 to another site, meaning failure for reasons unknown. SCP-055 may present a major physical threat, and indeed may have killed many hundreds of personnel, and we would not know it. Certainly it presents a gigantic memetic/mental threat, hence its Ketter classification. Document 055-1, an analysis of SCP-055. The author puts forward the hypothesis that SCP-055 was never formally acquired by redacted, and is in fact an autonomous or remotely controlled agent, inserted at Site-19 by an unidentified third party for one or all of the following purposes: to silently observe or interfere with activities at Site-19, to silently observe or interfere with activities at other SCP locations, to silently observe or interfere with activities of humanity worldwide, to silently observe or interfere with other SCP objects, to silently observe or interfere with redacted. No action to counter any of these potential threats is suggested, or indeed theoretically possible. Addendum. Hey, if this thing is really an anti-meme, why doesn't the fact that it's an anti-meme get wiped? We must be wrong about that somehow. Wait a minute. What if we were to keep notes about what it isn't? Would we remember those? Signed, Bartholomew Hughes, NSA. Pause. We have NSA agents? What?
Yeah, I think that's a weird artifact.
Document 055-2. Report of Dr. John Marichek. Survey Team 19-005-127BXE was successfully able to enter SCP-055's container and ascertain the appearance and, to some degree, the nature of the object. Notes were taken according to the project methodology. See redacted, after which the container was sealed again. Excerpt from a transcript of personnel debriefing follows. Does someone want to be redacted for me?
I'll be it.
Take it. Dr. Hughes is speaking and redacted. Okay, I'm going to need to ask you some questions about number 55 now.
Number what?
SCP Object 55. The object you just examined.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think we have a 55.
Okay then. Redacted. I'd like you to tell me what you've been doing for the past 2 hours.
What? I don't know.
Okay then. Do you remember that we all agreed that it wasn't spherical?
That what wasn't? Oh, right. It isn't round at all. Object 55 isn't round.
So you remember it now?
Well, no. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I know this. I know there is one. It's something you can't remember, and it's not a sphere.
Wait a minute. What's not a sphere?
Object 55.
Object what?
Doc, do you remember agreeing that something wasn't shaped like a sphere?
Oh, right. End log. It appears to be possible to remember what SCP-055 is not, negations of fact, and to repeatedly deduce its existence from these memories. Personnel involved in Survey 19-055-127BXE reported moderate levels of disorientation and psychological trauma associated with cycles of repeated memory and forgetfulness of SCP-055. However, no long-term behavioral or health problems were observed, and psych assessments of survey personnel showed consistent reports of this distress fading over time. Recommendations. It may be worthwhile to post at least one staff member capable of remembering the existence of SCP-055 to each critical site. End. So, what is SCP-055, everybody?
I don't think we have an SCP-055, sir.
I'm trying to think of a joke and I can't.
So this came into my head during the reading that just, for some reason, when it said to interfere with activities at Site-19, to interfere with other SCP locations, it first popped into my head, interfere with other locations. Could there be other 055s that we don't know about? Different sites have them. What if all the sites have one and they don't know they have one? What if that's a thing for a reason? And on top of that, what if all the sites don't have them? What if only the sites where we house one of the 05s has it? 055 is actually the 05s. Ha!
When the reading was happening, I was thinking that what if it only affects the personnel and not, like, they could set an SCP in there that is capable of speech, go in there and relay the info via paper or a computer.
Are you volunteering yourself to do that?
Have fun.
If it fits,
CO49.
Not it.
Come back.
So
that must be present.
So it's interesting because we have a Faraday cage, which means I'm confused most about the containment procedures myself when I look at this from a writing standpoint. We put it in a room that is 5 by 5 by 2.5 square meters, but we should also stay 50 meters from the center of the room, which is only 2.5 meters square and is apparently in a site with other SCPs. That
Right.
doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I kind of like its procedures not making sense because they don't know how they came to the conclusion that those were the correct containment procedures, nor do they, have any memory of constructing them, nor do they know why they're doing it.
Well,
It makes
to
sense
me,
for them to be a little bit nonsensical.
50 meters is a lot of meters.
It is.
Isn't a meter like 3 feet, says the dumb American?
That sounds about right. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's underground.
Like 150 feet? That's a lot of feet to have something in the middle of your site that you're supposed to avoid. I guess that was the one that bothered me the most, which is why I'm going to yell about it.
Well, to me,
I have a possible idea of what SCP-055 could be. I actually created it while you guys were talking. Would you like to see it?
I'd love to.
Finally, the mystery revealed.
Oh,
Please see it.
Dog Kondraki.
Don't you mean...
That's it.
Don't you mean Dogter Kondraki?
Terrible. Garbage.
You all knew what you were doing when you came to this stream.
And for good measure, I added Animal Crossing SCHRM.
049's not happy.
I still haven't forgiven you for that one joke from the Portraits of Your Father's stream. That was terrible. You should be ashamed for that.
Number one rule of acting, no shame.
Yeah, I have no shame. I did what I did. He's still alive.
Okay, but I could actually talk about 055 because I have a lot of feelings on it as I do for 173. But 049, you can go first. Yeah. What's that?
What if there's a proximity area that if you hear anything about 049, I forgot the SCP number.
055.
I call him 04.
How fitting.
55. But what if there's a proximity area that if you hear anything or like know anything about it, your memory of it is just wiped. But if you go out the area and tell something about it, it doesn't get wiped because its abilities only can span as far as it can go.
That was sort of my line of thinking as well.
Yeah,
Because
that
at
sounds
least
about right.
from how the containment procedures describe it, it sounds like there's supposed to be area of where you can absorb it from. But something happened or something was compromised which allowed the which allowed SCP-055's effect to extend past that zone. Because it kind of sounds like to me that Site-19 was built around 055, and then there was like sort of like an observation deck around the edge, and then like in the center in its little Faraday cage. But like that's just kind of how I saw it in my head.
That's an interesting concept.
I like that a lot.
Is 055 one of the ones that is rumored to be the actual 001? Because I know 184 has that story, but like the way you just put it makes me feel like it could be that. Like it's one of the oldest SCPs. You can't remember it. No one remembers it, but it's there. If it's not a theory, I'm putting it out there.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool. I mean, I like that. If someone hasn't written that, that's so
055 is another SCP that can combine into one, but one side of the ability wipes any memory of its know-how, and the other one is just whatever, up to the creator's imagination.
Does 055? I just popped in the stream and I was like, hey, look, the channel's full. Does 055, is it bounded by falsification? So if you made something up about 055, would you forget the made up part? Like you know, like you tell yourself a false truth, I guess.
You can remember what it's not. So if you were telling something that is an objective lie and it is an objective lie, you would be able to remember that it is not that thing. I think like by saying that it's self-clarifying, that it's very heavily bound to information, I think telling yourself things about it wouldn't work either. You know, just because of the nature of memes.
Or what
also,
happens...
if you count 5,000 in your canon, then we do know it fits in a suitcase.
True. All right, but I have things to say about 055, and like I can't believe we haven't brought this up yet. 055 is I thought it was a collab. I swear I could remember it was a collab, and I still feel like it might still be, and it's not in the metadata. But it's written by qntm. It's written by the guy who did the Anti-Memetic series. You're kind of clicking, you're making sounds. It's written by the guy who did the There Is No Anti-Memetic Division series, which everybody knows is absolutely fantastic and like was published in a book and whatnot. So this is all deliberate, or maybe not deliberate, but like it's world building. He's kind of spinning concepts here that he reuses later. It's all very interconnected, and it's just such, I mean, even today it's just a really novel concept, I think, and no one has really knocked it out of the park with anti-memes like qntm has. He just owns it, you know?
Yeah, anti-memes have become a big thing on the site, like the whole Anti-Memetics Division. I actually don't know.
He wrote that. He wrote that. The whole thing.
Say again?
qntm wrote that. Like,
that too?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, that's what he's that's what I'm saying. That's what he's known for. He wrote 055, and then he wrote Anti-Memetics Division around 055. Like, that's all his thing.
It's funny because you can get such sporadic like corners of the fandom and the stories on the wiki. I only have read 055 from qntm, who I'm going to call Quantum for short now.
Yeah.
And all of the anti-memes I know about besides 055 are freaking Great Hippo's work.
Really?
Like Cragglewood or the Red Knife. Like,
there's something interesting posed in one of the first Anti-Memetics Division tales. It's been forever since I've read them, and I need to finish them. But I think my favorite thing that's kind of implied or presented in those tales is that 055 is the weakest anti-meme they have because they know it exists and they know they have it contained. Like, it's actually not that strong of an anti-meme because they know they have it.
I feel like that's a dramatic chipmunk moment. Bum, bum, bum.
And like in some of Quantum's other work, there's like, you know how SCPs are normal, like SCP dash number, there's SCP plus numbers, and those are all Anti-Memetics Division things. And another little bit of lore, like I just remembered this, if you go read 21111 or 2111.
How would the Foundation know they have it contained if they keep forgetting about. I mean, I get
Well,
this could be
that's
answered.
fair.
Well, we go in and we forget that it's there, but
Well,
how
that's
do
the
they know
mystery.
they're not just remembering something they already? This is some fucking paradox shit.
Yeah, that's the mystery of it. Yeah, 2111 has a bit where it's like the whole conceit of 2111 is that it's like the ghost that you turn into if you die while you're working for the Foundation. You're still loyal, and they can go through anywhere they want in the database, and they can look at anything they want. And there's one part that's like, yeah, you can go look at what 055 is now, and you'll remember it. Just no one ever comes back, so don't do it. I think that is the coolest shit ever.
Wow, yeah, because you're right. At least 055, we know it's there whenever we remember it's there. Because the document even states that we forget it's there, and then someone finds the document, freaks out for like 5 minutes, and then we forget it again.
At least it's on file. It's on file. And the document stays there. At least we have that. And I think like actual legit speculation on, we know what is 055, unless you're going to like go and write a tale about it. I think it's kind of like asking how do we kill 682. It's like missing the point of it.
So is 055 pretty much just the game? I just lost the game.
Damn it!
That's pretty much it, though, right? Is you remember about it, and you completely forget until you remember again. You're like, dang.
Sounds like it.
Is it in that sense where if you stop like thinking about it, you forget about it?
I guess so, but I wish.
So technically, the game is a meme, but the game is not an anti-meme because you don't actively forget it. It just fades away from your consciousness because you're not paying attention to it. But you can remember it, and because we know that, in fact, knowing about the game is losing the game, we all have an abject reaction of disgust when it happens because we're all automatically losers.
Does that mean that the game is a cognito hazard?
What happened? Sorry, everything cut out.
Does that mean that the game is an info hazard?
Yes.
Yes.
This is some navel gazing meme talk. Dank memes at Site 42. Oh no.
Oh no, not again.
Someone should really make that Reddit a reality.
I think we have enough dank memes from Site 19.
I don't want to. Yeah, I'm not encroaching on their copyright. That was just a joke for legal reasons.
For legal reasons, that's a joke.
All right. Does anybody have any final intel they would like to share about 055 before we finish up?
Before 9's talking right now. What if maybe instead of it like basically wiping your memory of it, it just puts a temporary block when you like go in and go out? What if it temporarily blocks your memory instead of wiping it?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I mean, do you remember what you previously remembered once you I guess not, because when people rediscover it, they're like, oh, what the heck? Like, they don't have any recollections like, yeah, I remember, I already read this. But then they forget it, and they're like, oh, whoops, what was I talking about?
Although you did just conceptualize a whole new, different kind of anomaly where you can essentially lock memories away.
Ooh.
That's a new concept.
I need that.
Then that brings up, what if when you leave it blocks your memory, right? But then when you go back in, it wipes your memory.
Now it's effectively doing the same thing it's already doing, which is wiping your memory of it when you're not looking at it. So that's the same concept. But something where, a memory that when you're not looking at it is still there but locked is like a Trojan horse in your brain. And can the program still act on you later if there was an activation of some sort?
Like a sleeper agent or something.
Yes.
Exactly. Manchurian Candidate.
Isn't that what they discussed in the research notes? So like, we don't know if it was like placed here because someone wanted to, like use it for malicious purposes, or if we contained it, or
Right.
I think they discussed that.
Well, I think the conceit of that is more that since nobody can remember what it is, that's a pretty good cloaking mechanism for a spy device, not that it's like a sleeper agent thing. And that is an interesting concept, like an anomalous sleeper
a
trigger.
big Men in Black pen where they click it and then they
yeah.
I find it interesting that there's no conversation about not like what it is, because obviously we can't remember what it is. And remind me, so written notes, what happens to the written notes?
They exist and they're on file. You just forget what they say as soon as you stop looking at them.
And that's why we don't have the log of what it is, because if we saw it, then we would in fact remember it, and so you can't include that in the story.
Right.
So is it when you're looking at this, so say I have a document, I have it pulled up, and it's just, I'm reading it, and as soon as I stop reading it, or is it maybe like it disappears on a line-by-line basis where, you know, I read one line, and then I kind of forget what the last sentence was, and I'm reading a new sentence? Or is it once you stop looking? Because then what happens if they take someone and just constantly have them read over the feed? They could theoretically continuously, you know, remember what 055 is while they're reading the document, and the document just never ends. Like,
well, we do know that when someone is watching it on the closed circuit security, they come out essentially having continually forgot and remembered and forgot and remembered, and it exhausts them.
Fuck you up.
And then we do also know that during the conversation in the study that these both of them forgot what they were talking about during the conversation. So they could not even retain memory enough to have a back and forth conversation about it.
It reminds me a little bit of that one tale about 579 where there's like just a guy in a room and he pulls a lever every day and his brain is just like totally blown. He has no clue about anything. He doesn't remember his name or why he's here or anything. I think that's the kind of mental image that I get, even though it's two different SCPs.
Now, this is another random question, and this is just about the SCP Foundation in general, because it's impossible for all of these anomalies to exist in one canon or one world, right? Like, you can't have certain SCPs because they would pretty much, you know, cancel each other out or not, you know, end the universe. So how are these things, I don't want to say, this sounds so dumb, cross-tested would that be the term? Or like, you read the stories where they're like, 173 fights 682, ooga booga. Do these type of things exist? Could they have another anomaly remember? Like if we took 343 and we're like, hey, remember this.
So what you're talking about is similar to how the early SCP Foundation website worked, where everything did have a rock hard canon and things had to work with everything else on the site. So in that world, that's where you have to ask if 343 can kill 682, and 343 says, well, I wouldn't. Whereas now that we had the canon breakdown because of all the drama back in the day, read Roget's History of the World essays for the deep intel on that, because it gives you all the tea. It spills it everywhere. But since then, it's currently correct that you can't fit everything in. And for some an argument that comes up on TikTok a lot, everyone wants to know what the most powerful SCP is. What is the most powerful SCP, Sherman? And
the one you don't know about.
If I'm going to throw out two numbers for that, it's probably going to be 3812, which is Cactus's schizophrenic reality bender. And then who like ascends to a higher level of consciousness, like 4D, 5D, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or 3999, who has actively reset and unreset our universe a gajillion times in order to just torture Talaran.
Right.
In any SCP canon, they are obviously the most powerful. They could easily choose to snuff out 682 if they exist in the same setting and choose to do so. But you kind of got to pick and choose what parts or perspectives you're taking on these, because in some case, Reality Benders ending 682 ends the universe anyways for some reason, like a heat sink of the universe at Twal, yes.
Well,
that reminded me of 2935, which has done like the only good instance of we killed 682 ever, which is that the whole conceit of 2935 O Death is that it kills everything. It kills everything permanently forever. And that gets hammered in by them finding 682's corpse. And they're just like, and that's the point when they go from kind of like confused wonder to, oh fuck, something is really, really, really wrong. And it's really effective, I think.
Well, if we're using that logic where it's, if they're like, you know, the cross-testing logic is if, well, the earlier wiki was, you know, they kind of all, you know, mix and match together. They all kind of work together. What I mean, I forgot where I was going with this. Oh God, it's a mimetic.
The 055 is coming back in hand.
Oh yeah, it is. Okay, so no. Here's the one I was reading. I mean, I play video games like unhealthy amounts. That's okay. And I play Gary's mod, and there's a big SCP role playing community where you're role playing on in a facility, and one big thing is 076-2, which is Abel, and he accepts any challenge. He he wants to win. There was one thing where they had them fight like 682 and some weird stuff like that, and it just went on forever until they both decided to just stop. But at what level does 055 stop affecting it? Is it just our feasible human brains? Would a pigeon be able to remember it because they're too small brain? Or would at what point does it not affect a memory, or is it everything?
My first thought is I'm gonna go off on a random tangent. I'm gonna call bullshit on a stalemate between 076 and 682, because we know 076 can die and has to respawn when killed. So no, that's not how that goes. I'm gonna argue in my headcanon, and you can be right in your headcanon. I can't argue with your headcanon.
I'm just going off some feasible memories I remember from 2 or 3 years ago. So,
but then
don't take me word for word.
For the actual question about 055, I imagine it must be that you'd have to ascend to a certain point for your memory to be strong enough to not delete it.
Yeah, I feel like the nature of memes is that they're connected to human brains and human consciousness and the way that humans process thought and memories and whatnot. So I feel like if with your example of a pigeon, you would have to ask the question first, can pigeons remember things in any meaningful sense? And I don't think the answer is yes.
Let's use a raven,
Well, maybe, but you have to, I think if something is sentient in any capacity, it can have a meme, it can have conceptual ideas that are passed down, like genetics. And since it's anti-mimetic, anything that can process concepts would not remember it. So if anything sentient is the answer that I would give.
Adding on to that, what if I forgot this one SCP's number, the one that can neutralize other SCP's abilities? What if we send that SCP in first, then we go in, because then the SCP's ability will be blocked.
I don't know which one that is.
I don't know which SCP that is you're talking about.
Yeah,
that did remind me though of Ketter Duty, the 001, and how fucking awesome and raw of a line that can't fit square pegs in round holes is from that one.
That is a good line.
If nobody knows what I'm talking about, that's Ketter Duty is an 001, basically centered around crosslinks and containing Ketters with each other to contain them. And every other one has a super long, detailed list of how they interact. And then you get to the end, and it's 055 and 579, and the answer given, it just can't fit square pegs in round holes. And that's it. That's all you get. But it makes perfect sense somehow. It's a really good line.
And it's the basis for the finale of 5000.
Yeah.
I wanted to say this earlier, but F in the chat for Talaran.
I have like been going through a phase lately where all I write is like fucked up stuff about 3999, and I want to know what's wrong with me. This is unrelated, but before the stream, I ate an entire container of raw cookie dough. I haven't had dinner
Don't
yet.
get salmonella.
Salmonella.
Yeah,
is
you're
afraid of
worrying me.
Salmonella is afraid of me.
I have doubts about that, and I worry about you.
Don't worry about it. It's probably fine.
Like I'm into the culinary arts, and anyone eating anything raw or anything that is not good for them, that worries me.
Oh, I
Hey,
eat
sushi's
things
good.
for me all the time.
Except sushi. Sushi's the exception.
But the point being, I've written a lot about 3999 lately, and it kind of, I used to not like it that much. I don't know why. I think, and Sherm, like when I listened to your reading, that kind of made it click in my head for me, and that made me like it a lot more. And I think it was just because it kind of sunk in of the in-universe implications of it, as well as the out-of-universe implications, because I got the out-of-universe implications pretty easily, like really well, but it didn't strike me how that was being translated to in-universe until you're reading, like the emotion that you put into it.
For 3999, there's a big deal. I actually recently read the book House of Leaves finally for the first time. I've been like sitting on it for ages. And externally, from the outside of the box, you can be like, yeah, okay, the house changes. It's infinite, whatever. That's weird. Okay, 3999, reset the world, torture this dude. I get it. And like, I guess, working in government and looking down on the people you rule and not really paying attention to their needs because you're above it, so too when you look at a story from just like its outside, in the summary, the Cliff's Notes do not tell you what it feels like on the inside.
Right.
And
well, like that's the thing. I got the out of universe thing. I got that I was a representation of writer's block and like all of the out of universe things, but I didn't sink in the infinite torture thing. Like that did not actually hit me until you're reading, and I was like, oh.
What movie has a really good like example of it? I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically about these two dudes who decide to go on like vacation to the mountains, but there's this god figure that is in control, and he creates these time pockets that infinitely loop. And now some loops are really long, like some loops are like a 2 months or a year, and they'll loop every year. And once you're in the loop, you can't leave the loop, so you're stuck repeating the same thing every single year. Sure, you could change it up, but you'll always be reset to where you were the first year. And it talks about how the god likes torturing people, where he has a loop where this guy repeats his life every 3 seconds. So every 3 seconds, he's sitting in a chair, and it's like a guy from like the 1770s, where he's just in his chair. He gets up, he tries to run for the door, the loop resets, and it's just that for all eternity. But like the catch is you get eternal life; you'll never die. So that's just what that reminds me of, is that kind of infinite torture. I'll figure out the name of the movie.
Yeah, I forgot the movie name that you described it like that.
Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day mixed with I have no mouth and I must scream.
Sounds like an interesting movie. Maybe we can have a movie night.
No, I don't get copyright strike. Patrons only.
Honestly, now that Site42 now that Discord has this functionality, a movie night is not out of the question. That's kind of dope.
Cool. I just got for legal reasons, I am not being serious right now. I just got a copy of The Thing, so we could do that. The Thing 1982.
But in the meantime, we are reaching the hour 20 mark. I must shut us down for the rest of the evening. That way we can get to the rest of our lives and let the viewers get on with their lives. So, say your final pieces goodbyes, people.
Farewell, everybody.
Really went on a tangent there. Bye.
I'm going to put them on mute. They will still be able to talk to each other, but they will be gone from the live stream, so I can close this down. Quick advertisement before we go off. Halloween. We are all stuck at home in America, at least, because pandemic. And so, last year we did this. We're doing it again because it was really fun last year. We are doing a Site42 24-hour Halloween live stream. We are starting at midnight, the beginning of Halloween, California time. We are going to the end of Halloween, midnight, California time. I am going to be here on this screen with a room full of video friends because Discord can do that now. Yes. People will be able to jump in and out of the stream. We'll be reading SCPs by request because we have 24 hours. We're going to cover a lot of them. We're going to talk SCP trivia. We'll have guests from the community. Hopefully some of the YouTubers or the TikTokers will show up as well. We are going to have a GoFundMe for the San Francisco LGBT Center. I did that last year, and I think it's important because LGBT rights are important. And when homelessness is going up because rent is still expensive and we can't have jobs, it's important that people get help they need. And so I'm taking my little corner of the community to help the LGBT section. And so go help whatever causes you want, but that's the cause I picked. And that is our plan for Halloween. Hashtag Halloween at home. We hope you guys will join us at some point, maybe for an hour or two if you're not doing anything. The Site42 Discord server has video slots for everybody, up to 25 people at a time. That'll be insane. That's why we're doing tests right now, going up to it, so I know how it all works. But Halloween live stream, charity, 24 hours. It's a marathon for me. It's a party for you guys. I will see you all there. This has been Sherman. Like, share, subscribe, Patreon, all that jazz to help the channel. And I'll see you guys at the next anomalous broadcast from Site42. Be a man, you must be swift and coursing. Be a man with all the force of a great typhoon. Be a man with all the force of a raging fire. Mysterious as the dark side of the moon. Yeah!